But in incidents like that, I mean, I definitely do feel like I would definitely speak up and let her know, hey, this guy's following you or this guy's taking pictures and
There's a population that is sick, and that population needs their addressing because
With the recent murder of Sarah Everard, as well as the subsequent protests that it sparked raising global awareness to violence that women face, on this week's episode of the Infusion Breakdown Show, the Breakdown crew sat down among ourselves to discuss how do we protect women. Let's see what we come up with.
before we get started on today's episode, I'd like to introduce to you our Black owned business of the week, where we showcase quality Black owned businesses for you to support every week. This week's business is Know Your Direction Marketing by Sydney Carey. Know Your Direction Marketing specializes in natural health and nutrition, skincare, cosmetics, and home care products. If you're interested in seeing what they have to offer, give their Facebook page a follow.
So the question we have for today, how do we protect women? Comment below. Let us know your opinion. We also have timestamps in the description below. As always, be sure to check them out.
Today's topic was brought on by the death of Sarah Everard. So, for you, those of you who might not know the story of her and what exactly happened, so Sarah Everard, or fuck, I always say Sarah Everard. It's Everard. Okay. So today's topic was brought on by the death of Sarah Everard. And for those of you who might not know who she is, Sarah Everard was a 33-year-old British woman who was found dead last week. And she was last seen on video walking home by herself at 9:30. And this is on, I think, March 3rd. And her death was allegedly caused by a police officer. So when she was walking home, she was kidnapped and murdered. And so the officer's been charged with murder and is currently awaiting trial. And over the past week, candlelight vigils have been held in London to pay respect for Sarah. This happened in the UK. And women all over social media have been using the text me when you get home XX post. I know you guys have seen that. I shared that with you. And they've been sharing their experiences and concerns they face because this is a very real, harsh reality that women live out. The prospect that any given day something like this could happen. And in addition to that, women have been sharing their routines for walking home safely at night. They have been sharing their stories, like I said, about harassment and sexual assault. And we all, the three of us, have women in our lives that we love and care about. And Josh, you've been particularly outspoken about your support for Black women, like your routine posts, like you say, support Black women or protect Black women. So I was kind of curious about what are you guys' thoughts on how do we protect our women, like women in general, and then by extension, Black women, as this also pertains to them.
Did you want to go first, Des? No. You saying Black women, just Black women?
No, that's not what I said. So
you said our, so
yeah, I realized that after I said it, but I said our women, and then I said women as a whole. So I want you to, I would like for you to approach both segments of that question.
okay. Well, I don't think we can have necessarily Amber Alert every time a woman is assaulted or anything like that, to the point where we got to rush to the aid of any woman that's in trouble. So first, I want to say that there's always going to be people out there that are like that are like that'll take advantage of women mentally, physically, all of that. Like, it's always going to be women who are trying to hurt women. There's always going to be men out there that's going to try to hurt women, try to exert their power over women. So there's really nothing we can do but try to just protect the women that we come in contact with, and just the ones that we care about at the very least. And just to do that, just watch out over them. Don't do any, I would say, don't do any like security guard dad type of acts toward them, anything like that. Try to control them at any point, but just look after them. Like you say, protect your woman. I'm just thinking of, if anything goes down, you're going to be right there to stand in the way to protect her. But yeah, I don't, but not in an actually controlling way. So
Because it's not the reality. Because you think that people have lives, so you can't be there with the woman that you care about, that you love in your life, 24/7. Like, for example, she could be at work, she could be at school. So I mean, that's the reality of it too.
Yeah, so yeah, when you say protect our women, like, just all you gotta do is just protect the woman you care, not really say that you care about, everybody that you come in contact with, because I mean, this stuff is gonna happen. Like, I read a little bit about the Sarah Everard thing, but like, there's always gonna be people out there. There's no way that you can go and just reform every type of criminal out there to the point that they don't do anything bad or they don't assault women to any point, but just do your best to protect the women that you actually care about and actually the ones that you actually come in contact with. That's the main thing I feel. And then
When
if everybody actually does that, then all the women will be protected.
when you say protect the ones that you come into contact with, what does that look like for you? Like, what are you envisioning?
Like, say for instance, you walk in to your dorm or something at night and you see a black woman getting harassed or any type of woman getting harassed in the most negative way. Like, you shouldn't hesitate to go out your way and actually try to see what's going on, because that can lead to rape, that can lead to assault, that can lead to murder, that can lead to countless other things. So that's what I mean. You don't have to necessarily like know them to look out for them. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, and then also I was thinking about personally, had I seen any incidents of public harassment like that? And I think that not to downplay and act like this doesn't happen, because it's a widespread phenomenon. This does occur, and these women wouldn't have stories if it didn't. But to think about how it could possibly play out, because it's not always as overt as what you think, like the scenario you described where like the argument is occurring in public in like on a college campus. It could be something as simple as a man following a woman or taking pictures and stuff like that. And that stuff is like a little bit more subtle. It's harder to notice. But in incidents like that, I mean, I definitely do feel like I would definitely speak up and let her know, hey, this guy's following you or this guy's taking pictures. And just I guess that would be in line of what you were saying too, about just coming in contact. It's like a measure of common decency.
Have you ever come across that though?
A scenario like that?
Yeah, as far as somebody.
No, but I haven't came across the other scenario that you described either. But I'm saying like there's multiple ways that it could play out, but in terms of like actually coming in contact with it, I haven't seen that.
I got you, because your scenario makes it seem like you was looking at him for a while. Because usually you don't look and see a guy looking at a woman. I mean, and like to the point that you're like, oh damn, he's like stalking her or something like that. Unless he has binoculars, he in the bushes or some shit. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. So that's
it could be just as simple as like you're walking on the block and you see this guy like looking really suspicious and he's been following this woman for a while. Or you could be like,
how do you know he's been following her for a while though?
But how he looks. Like I said, he's looking suspicious, but then he's also like going out of his way. Okay. I know, but I know what you're getting at. That's why I said it's more subtle. You can't always use it as a primary indicator, because what you're saying is like, okay, so
I look suspicious all the time. That don't mean I'm doing something.
No, well, okay, cool. But I see what you're getting at. You're saying like, okay, what about George Zimmerman? He said Trayvon Martin looks suspicious. He wasn't doing anything. So it's very, very discretionary. It's on a person-to-person basis. So what you might say is suspicious could be something completely innocent. You could just be walking, listening to your music, and somebody could say, "Ma'am, this guy's following you," and so that was your problem with it, because you found that logical fallacy in it. But I mean, sometimes it's very subtle, like I said, but sometimes it's more overt than others. Like, I can't really put my finger on it, but if you are able to identify something that looks out of place, like, you have a pretty good sense of intuition, and you could be wrong, but I think that's another way that it could play out.
I got you. I was just stating that I don't think I would be paying attention enough to the point that I would see somebody physically stalking them to the point like, oh, I know that person is following that person. So that's what I was just getting at.
And most people don't, because like otherwise we probably would pick up on microaggressions and things like this all the time, you know?
But at what point too is it like you should mind your own fucking business? Where's the line?
But those yeah, I'm saying, doesn't that contradict what you just said though? Protect who you come in contact with?
That's possible, but maybe maybe not necessarily she likes that, or maybe she's like, oh, it's okay, like I got this or something like that. Maybe she can handle it herself, you know? You could come into a situation like that.
You could. But so, is it still your duty to?
Yeah, I'm not saying that will hinder me. I'm just asking you, where's the line at? That's where do you think the line is? That's all I'm asking.
I mean, if that's the case where she says that she got it and to leave her alone, then I mean, what am I gonna do but respect her wishes?
Okay.
Otherwise, then I'm harassing someone.
What if she turns around with a black guy?
What am I supposed to do? I mean, I'm just asking.
If you walk away, that's cool. If you walk in the fuck away, that's cool.
It's a very difficult scenario, because for one, you don't know if the person she's arguing with, the guy, is in fact the one who gave her the black eye. It could be a coincidence. I wouldn't say one way or the other, because you don't have enough information, but you just know that she's a black guy, she's arguing with this guy. and then she tells you, okay, well, she got it. She's just mind your business, go away. Then, I mean, you can't really help someone who doesn't want help themselves.
Okay.
And I'm not going to press the issue.
Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Okay.
I mean, what do you think?
No, I agree with you. I agree. What's up, Des?
Oh shit, what's up?
You got something to add?
Nah, not to that particular question. I think for me, I don't think you can necessarily. I'll put it this way: I don't think it's our place to try and think of some radical way to try and protect women. I think that it's our place to kind of look and see where the issue itself is originating from and address it there. And I think a lot of it is just the weirdos not getting the help that they need, whether it be through shit they've experienced through middle school, elementary school, high school, whatever, whether it be parental stuff. Like I feel like a lot of us helping women is just the people acknowledging that there's a population that is sick and that population needs their addressing, because there's no reason for someone that is clear to be able to serve and protect whatever it is within the British Commonwealth or whatever. But it doesn't make sense to me to where somebody who is deemed clear to serve and protect can turn around and do something like that. So I think the first part of addressing it is more or less addressing it as a society first. And then I think when it comes to just the whole going out thing, I know when I go out, I'm always making sure everybody's good. We're walking in groups, things like that. I know on more than one occasion that if it's been like women, like even if it's just two and they're solo, I'll walk them to their car and then, go about my business there. But I think, you could be a little bit more proactive. That's one way to protect them. If you identify or can see someone that, they don't have that partner per se, or they didn't come to the function with no friends, like you can be that bridge as well.
Just common decency extended.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
No, I was going to ask him the same question. At what point is the line as far as like mind your own business, or they don't need help, they can do it themselves? Or
I mean, you give everybody for me, that's always mind your business.
Said it again.
I said, for me, it's always mind your business, because you don't ever know what factors truly play into it. Like, yeah, you can, bring attention to it, like, but I'm not Captain America. Like, I'll be the first to tell you. Like, I'll acknowledge a situation if it's getting to a point to where tempers are flaring. If it's say you're out in public, then you point the proper people into the right direction. But for me, I'm too wise to know that there's too many factors that go into the argument, and I'm not going to act on an impulse just because I want to make a point or something. Like, there's people that can act on them impulses and not get punished for it.
I guess I'll follow up with my answer for what can we do to protect women, and I think what I came up with is twofold. So the first part is taking women seriously, and I kind of distilled that from the spirit of believe women. So I had a problem with that phrase just because of just logical loopholes in it, but I tried to figure out like what exactly was meant by the core of what it meant to believe women. And I think, like I said, by taking them seriously, so when like they make claims and say that these things have happened to them, if they come forward with these stories, then we should take them seriously. We should investigate it to its fullest extent. And that the person is guilty of that, then they should face consequences, just as simple as that. And then I also thought about, in conversation, I was speaking with one of my female friends, a while back about a guy that was taking pictures of her when she was younger. She was a ballerina, and he would take pictures of all the girls, and she didn't like that. But apparently there wasn't a problem, I guess, because he owned the rink, and it was just something that was known about, and it wasn't something to where it was like they were undressed, but he was taking pictures of the girls. They were asking him to stop, but he wouldn't. He continued to do that, so it was problematic. And so one of the things was she said that she felt like it wasn't taken seriously, so that's one of the reasons why the issue wasn't pressed and taken and further and escalated past like talking to the HR people at the rink. And so I feel like that's a real concern that some women do have about coming forward, is they don't feel like it's taken seriously. I also feel like sometimes they may fear for their lives. But on that same note, I implore them to continue to come forward with things like that, because by them coming forward and sharing what's going on or bringing the attention on the incident, they could potentially save another woman's life or their own life for that matter. So that's why I feel like that's really important, and we should take things like this extremely seriously. I know it's a portion of people who are contrarians and like to say, oh well, she probably did this, or nah. It's like that's not that's a secondary concern. The primary concern is to deal out justice properly and take it seriously and live your side of the story and make sure that that comes into fruition. And then like whatever the other people have to do, the other people have to say the speculative, that's secondary, it doesn't matter. I would say that your safety and the safety of other women is more important than somebody having an opinion of you. And then the other part, and I said this part is the more controversial half of what I have to say, and I'll explain why. So I feel like every man, woman, boy, girl, they should be able to protect themselves. And so a common criticism of this line of thinking, this idea, is that you're victim blaming, and that couldn't be further from the truth. But the reality of things is we don't live in a utopia. You could be minding your business, doing everything properly, and then all it takes is one bad actor to change that, and then you're in a situation fighting for your life. And it's just the same thing of like, okay, well, you shouldn't have to have car insurance, or you're a good driver. You shouldn't have to have car insurance. You don't get in accidents, but all it takes is for somebody drunk to hit you or something like that, then you need that insurance. So it's like you can't control, you can control yourself, but you can't control other people. So it's like when it comes down to issues of my own personal safety, for example, I make sure that I'm aware of my surroundings and that I'm able to defend myself if need be. So I think that's just something that we all should do, and making sure that the people around us, the women that we care about, are able to do so as well. So in line with what you were saying, Josh, it's like you can't do this for everyone, but definitely the ones that you're in the immediate vicinity of, like talking to your sisters and making sure that they're aware of things like that. And then I guess mothers, aunts, and then make sure that they're always ready to do so, whether it be them carrying mace with them or something, because like that could make a difference. I mean, it could be the difference between life or death in one of these scenarios. So that's why I said that it's really two-part, and I really wanted to make that clear distinction, because it's not in any part victim blaming. Like what happened to Sarah Everard and the other women who came forward with these sexual harassment stories and the sexual assault stories, these rape stories, it's not their fault. It's none of their fault. And I've seen several times where people make the argument and I guess argue on behalf of self-defense, then they'll say you're victim blaming, which that's not the case.
You said we should believe them.
No, that's not what I said. I said take them seriously. I said
you said that afterwards though, and I'll
no.
address that. Yeah, I just heard. Okay, you go.
No, so what I said was, so there was a hashtag that happened. So kind of like with the hashtag Me Too, there was a hashtag, I think the year before last, and it said believe women, hashtag believe women. And I said I had a problem with that, just like the phrase itself, because there was a logical fallacy in it. There's a loophole. And I said, so I tried to distill the essence of it and what was the intention. What was the part that really mattered? What did it really mean? What were they really getting at? And so from there, I was able to distill take women seriously. So I did not say believe women out of my own mouth, unless I was recounting what was said before. But my personal stance on that.
Gotcha.
Did you have the same understanding of what I just said?
No, I thought first you said believe women, and then you was like take them seriously. So I was just gonna ask, is believing them, taking them seriously, or should you believe them, not take them seriously, or should you take them seriously and not believe them? What do you? That's what I was asking. That's what I was going to.
Okay, yeah, but so that question's is that
Because
still a valid question?
I mean, you can answer it, but I was gonna continue with. I mean, yeah, you should definitely take these women seriously, but how much should you believe them exactly? Because can't they just be doing it for the pursuit of profit, or they can
Could
be doing it? Okay, I'm just asking.
that was my problem with the whole thing of believable. I understand that the people who do that, the women who do that and make up things, are in the vast minority, like extremely small minority. But I'm saying that a better thing would be to do is, like I said, to take women seriously, to believe facts. If she tells you that X, Y, and Z happened, and it looks like X, Y, and Z happened, and they do an investigation, and it comes out that it appears that happened, then we should behave accordingly. We should act in line. So I mean, it's that simple. It's not so much as I don't really like the court of public opinion. In as far as you don't have people not having facts and saying things, and I feel like if somebody is coming forward and telling the truth about something like this, then the facts will support that. So I don't see a problem with that. I don't see why. I don't understand why morality would be pinned onto a specific demographic of person. And I think we talked about this before with a different topic. It's escaping me right now, but it'll come back to me later.
Okay. So, Des, do you think like finding out the why would actually work? I know it definitely should work, but will it actually work? Is it plausible to do that and then have people actually fix the why, and then everybody's living in harmony?
Do I think fixing the why will work?
Okay, it would work if you do fix the why. Do you think it will be fixed? I guess you could say. I guess I'll ask.
Yeah, of course. Just because I think that education itself is, just as a key thing, like education brings awareness. So just like we need to be educated on ways we can, assist women when we're out and in unison with them, we also need to understand that, the historical way or looking at women in the historical context is part of the reason why we have a whole lot of the issues that we have going on. Like, I feel like for the most part, people still struggle to see women as equals. And it's like they really don't have any true found respect for, women in their bodies. And I think if you're able to figure out the why, what's causing this, then I believe it is going to be a beneficial step moving forward.
Why don't people still see women? Why do people not still see women as equals? I want to ask that.
I mean, I think it's numerous things. I think if you just look at it from the perspective of, wage gaps. Like, I know wage gaps are diminishing as far as, men to women, but, you can easily look at that. If you want to look at the religious aspect where it's always the man leading and the woman following, or whatever aspect you want to look at it. If you want to look at it from a religious aspect, you want to look at it from a patriarchal standpoint, anything of that nature. I think when you're always looking at it from, men first, women second, you're always going to come to the conclusion that it's, me getting my pleasure by any means necessary. Or me always choosing the side of, what I perceive as correct or what I perceive as, what's right, regardless of how this person may feel about me carrying out these actions.
Oh, okay. What, Brian?
What are your thoughts on the idea that men need to be more accountable as it pertains to this topic? So this is also a common point that's made when this topic is brought up online.
I think it goes into like the education aspect of, so you can't be accountable, because I mean, any of us can look at this stuff with any common sense and, see that stuff is happening because of X, Y, and Z. But there's some people that are just brainwashed with what they perceive to be right. Like, I don't think you can hold somebody that's accountable that is ignorant. I think the accountability aspect comes when, people, learn the truth, learn how to truly move, learn how to, what is it, truly love and respect that neighbor or something like that. Like, you keep that same respect when it comes towards women, like you have no choice but to hold yourself accountable.
That's what were you about to say?
No, I actually forgot, but no, I agree with Des though. Yeah, they might be too stuck in their ways to actually hold men accountable. Yeah, because they grew up with one ideal for X amount of years and then changing it, because I think they'll have to come in contact with some type of extraneous variable has to cause them to actually change their mindset and actually become actually more accountable, I feel.
So the question is, whose responsibility is to teach them?
Whose responsibility to teach the men?
Yeah.
Well, their parents.
Well, the men who are doing these things, obviously. The men who are overstepping boundaries when it comes to women, who are harassing women, those men, whose responsibility is it to teach them?
Whose responsibility to teach them? It was their parents' responsibility to teach them the whole time growing up. It was definitely their parents' responsibility. But if they do the things, it's definitely jail's responsibility to rehabilitate. Yeah, it's gonna be jail's responsibility after that. But it's up to the parent, like, to teach the child all of that as they're growing up, so they won't turn into like this person that hates women or like tries to physically, mentally abuse women or anything like that. That's really where it starts with. And sometimes like child gets it from the parent, like they get it like, oh, you doing that to mom? Okay, I'll go get somebody to do that, So
yeah,
but it's up to the parents that they always lay the groundwork. I felt.
I agree. I do have a problem, with the idea of when people say that men should be more accountable, and it's like, I have a hard time being accountable for things I didn't do. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, and I tried once again to distill exactly what that meant to be accountable for something like that. And so, I mean, I will wholeheartedly acknowledge that things like this do happen and that women do face additional challenges and difficulties just as a consequence of them being women, for certain. And then I also, like you were saying earlier, like calling out problematic behavior when I do see it. So, I mean, I think if that's what they mean by accountability, by any means, but just at a face value, saying, okay, be more accountable, and saying, okay, these things happen, that really doesn't equate to much. I feel like actual actions and preventative measures put in place, like Desmond was saying, like if you're actually in a social setting and like somebody needs, a woman came there by herself and you offer to walk her to her car so she gets there safely, things like that. Or it could be like if you see, like what you were detailing, the altercation in public and you stepping up, like those kinds of things. I feel like that's more important than me saying, I understand that this happens, because I mean, like you said, we're all pretty sensible people. We know that these things happen. This is nothing new, and it happens far too frequently. But it's like, I feel like action is what matters.
We can only control ourselves. Like,
yeah,
that's what we.
So to hold an entire population of people accountable, like I think, I don't understand what's the obsession with that concept of like being accountable for something you didn't do.
What do you think about that, Des? Because I never really thought about that. The whole accountability thing.
Yeah, I actually don't mind it, because it's one of those things to where like Brian said, we know and acknowledge that it's stuff going on, but it's stuff that we more times than not turn a blind eye to.
Hold on. What do you mean turn a blind eye to?
Whether it be intentional or not. Like, so you're saying like the whole accountability thing, you have a hard time, I guess you could say reconciling with that. But but an accountability thing, I'm pretty sure from a woman's perspective, is understanding and being assertive in a situation where it requires, men to be accountable for each other. Like, it's kind of like the whole, I feel like it kind of goes picture perfect with y'all example of if y'all,
what Josh said,
see people out arguing in public, like, do you interact? Like, there is some sense of accountability to where, like I mentioned, you go through the proper channels to get the woman help. And then some women would like to see you assert yourself in, like bro, this is a woman you're talking to. Like, you can't be talking to her the type of way and think that you're going to come to some sort of, resolution or, anything like that. So I understand it in that perspective, because it is something that, we could assert ourselves into, because it's like it's a game of probability. Like, everything is always 50-50. It could end up one way, it could end up another way. And it's almost like we go through life understanding that it's a 50-50 probability that if we see a woman and a situation between a man and a woman escalating, we already know there's a 50-50 probability that she can either just walk away, unscathed, or the other 50-50 probability is that it raises to a point to where it becomes a physical altercation and potentially sexual assault. So it's like, we understand that there's a 50-50 probability, but we continue to always play the odds rather than, stepping in when we need to. So that's how I look at accountabilities, because, it's the guys we consider our bros, or the guys that we've gone to the clubs with or whatever, who are having this type of stuff aired out, but then we're hanging around those guys the next day. Like, I believe that's what they are referring to when it comes to accountability, is because there are certain people that will preach women's rights, they'll preach all this stuff, but still be, best friends with the guys who are getting their stuff aired out, through social media. Or, if it gets to the point to where it's like, someone is raped and it's news coverage, then, you got guys trying to step up for him rather than holding him accountable for it, or step up for him rather than, holding him accountable for, the actions he's committed. That's how I kind of see the whole accountability aspect, because it's easy to be accountable in hindsight, but like, to be proactive with it and truly care about, the two possible outcomes, I think like that's where the accountability is supposed to be, pushed towards, not necessarily what we can do to be more accountable.
I think I know what you're talking about, because I think I've seen a lot of that, because I know Brian talked about Meg Thee Stallion, I don't know if it was last episode or episode before last, but when she got shot, allegedly by Tory Lanez, that that people were defending Tory, like, saying stuff about Meg, like, and defending him, like, oh, he didn't shoot her or anything like that. So that kind of what reminds me of, really, men not taking each other accountable and everything. So yeah.
I think at its core, what you were saying, you and I agree. I think the point that we disagree on is whether or not we have a problem with the terminology of being accountable, because you seem to, like you said, you don't care about the fact that it's okay, you're accountable for this, but I understand it as taking those actions. So like you said, intervening on the behalf. And so I also thought about what you were just saying about hanging out with guys who have done things like that and coming to the defense of them. So it's like, that's another thing too. I don't like, none of the guys who I'm friends with have done things like this that I'm aware of. I do call them out for other things. Like, if I happen to see like one of my guy friends and he's actually like cheating on his girl or something like that, I definitely like talk to him about stuff like this. Like, like, this isn't cool. You need to get this sorted out and whatever. But kind of like what you were talking about on the brotherhood episode. But when it comes down to like the example that you just gave about like a serious accusation of a sexual assault or something like that, and at what point do you distance yourself from that individual? Because until there's actually like a verdict delivered, like, you could, let's say like there's somebody who you are cool with and they're accused of something, like one of us, the three of us, and Josh is accused of something, and how do you handle that?
I don't know if y'all haven't, I don't know if this is like for viewers to gain, but I'm really good at not talking to people. If I don't feel like talking to you for any reason, shape, like, it could be the smallest thing. It could be like no malice or no grudge between us, but I don't feel like talking, I'm just not gonna talk. So me just coming from a frame of mind to where like I don't hold pointless conversation, it means nothing for me to just walk away if you got some bullshit like that pending on your name. Chances are we wouldn't have been friends to begin with, or you'd have been friends with people I know, and I peeped the weirdo energy from the jump and was just never in the same place for you to display it. But for me, I have no problem with not talking to people. It's my specialty, or speciality, as Obi-Wan would say.
So you're saying you just go ghost?
Yeah. So my
That is my
question is
favorite
at what
pastime.
point?
I would have been ghost.
So like if the three of us in our current context, like with us knowing each other, and we hear something about that, like somebody accuses Josh of doing something, of harassing a woman.
Yeah, I wouldn't even check in with you.
You wouldn't even, you said you wouldn't check in with him?
Nah, like, bro, as soon as it drops down, like, I feel no need to, like, what is my conversation gonna say to you?
Good question.
What are my words?
Yeah, what is he gonna say?
Yeah, what am I gonna say? Hey,
come on,
bro,
let's talk,
hey,
let's
bro,
talk.
hey, man, heard, heard you got a case pending against you. Like,
Gonna ask me what happened? What's he gonna do?
Yeah, what happened? Like I'm gonna ask you what happened. Like, you're gonna be able to tell me the whole truth. Like, you're just as traumatized about it being aired out for people to know that you're not gonna be able to give me the whole truth. Like, you're gonna have pieces of your story missing. So why even set myself up to be something I know I'm not gonna be when I wasn't the one that put myself in a situation? Like, the whole time, like, I'm more than comfortable with just walking away. Like, I've gone years without speaking to my best friends, and then we pop up and we talk like nothing happened. Like, people know me based off of, or the people that know me know that that's just how I move, man. Like, I have no problem with cutting anybody off. That shit is just, this is my favorite.
I mean, that's a little bit concerning that you say that you take so much pride in the fact of doing something like that, like cutting people. Not for the extreme example that we're given, but I mean, from I guess, Josh, your question was, what would I do, or what would you say to the person? First off, I would tell them, like, if you actually did this, then you need to turn yourself in. If that was what it required, if it was something this serious, it's like, yeah, you need to turn yourself in. I mean, and then also, like, you guys, we've talked before about cancel culture and the court of public opinion. So it kind of seems like you would err on the side of gathering facts and doing and moving in line with the fact support. So how would that affect you, Des, in your decision on what you just said, if it came to be that Josh was completely innocent after you just, like, ghosted him, and kind of like he needed support during that time?
I mean, you're asking a lot of what ifs, just because I know for me, I wouldn't be in the situation. So because I'm answering this from the frame of mind of not being present at the time that the acts or allegations occurred, it's nothing for me to just not say nothing. For me to have been in the spotlight, like, I would more than likely say the same thing. Like, if I'm present from the time the act occurred to the time that, you know, an investigation is opening, then I feel like it is my job to, you know, if you did it, you need to confess about it, because it's one of those things where if I know the truth, but it's not stated when I'm asked if I know the truth, then, I mean, that can make me an accessory of some sort. And me just knowing, if we're playing the field that way to where, like, I'm involved just based off of my knowledge and it not having come out, then yes, because one of the questions they're more than likely going to ask is, who all knows you did this? And then they're going to turn around and ask me, well, why didn't I say nothing? From that perspective, then yeah, you know, the accountability does need to be there, just for the sake of, you know, the victim getting their due diligence. But I think it's also important from this perspective that you're pushing, because it no longer provides the safe haven that, like, well, if my bros know, then I can expect them to hold me down and you know, come up with some alternative story or something like that. Like, I know she was kissing up on him the whole night, and, like, it was consensual, stuff like that. Like, I would understand it from that perspective, but just from my perspective, knowing that I'm not going to be in the place of business to where it occurred, it ain't nothing for me to not say nothing. I don't see nothing, I don't know nothing, because I won't dare. So I say it with the comfort, because I know I wouldn't be present for something like that to occur. And I don't involve myself, like, people know not to have them conversations with me anyway. So I don't know if I'm saying it with comfort because I don't have friends that do stuff like that, or I don't know if I'm saying it with comfort because if they did something like that, then I would be the last to know.
That could be it too, because, like, I really feel like with this topic, I feel so distant from it. Like it's something to where like earlier when we were recounting Josh and I, this is something that you don't really see in the public eye, and like for me to have witnessed it firsthand or anything like that. So I could see why you would say that you're so comfortable in making that kind of assessment because you can't fathom the idea of anybody who you'd associate yourself with doing those things.
Yeah.
Josh, what are your thoughts on the other side of that?
The other side of that.
Like about the way that you would have handled it. Do you have any objection to how Des would handle that?
Oh no, I'm literally in the same boat. Like I couldn't, like even if you say something about one of you two like getting into something, I can't imagine you guys getting into something so serious to the point that like I just don't see that. Like okay, maybe I could see like one of you guys going for assault or something like that, but even to that, it just depends on what it is. Like,
hold on. You said going for assault?
Yeah, like
yeah, because assault is super simple. Like assault, you don't have to do a lot to get charged for assault.
Yeah, assault could just be verbal, can't it?
Yeah, assault could be. Yeah.
The battery part is physical.
Yeah, but I just don't. I can't fathom like people I hang out with actually doing something like that. But at the same time, I'm the type of person that will ghost you too. Like I barely talk to a lot of people now, so like ghost you is really not a big thing for me, to be honest with you. If it's something like rape, murder, or something like really, really bad, you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I feel like I would know if this person is this type of person, or like, you know what I mean? I feel like if I would know this person has like problems or has some type of background to the point that he would do something like that, you know? Like, I feel like there's some type of warning signs you would see if you have a friendship with this person, you know what I mean? That's just how I feel. So yeah, but you would say you would like support them, or you would just tell them that it's wrong?
No, I'm not saying that I would outright support the individual. I wouldn't be in public flaunting the friendship. And like, nah.
It's like he's asking from the perspective of like, I have no problem with ghosting you, but he's asking like, well, say if you ghost this person and they're actually innocent, like how do you reconcile with that?
I mean,
like,
I would feel stupid. And on that person's behalf, I would understand if that person didn't want nothing to do with me after that. And just as a preface, I understand that what we're speaking about is in the minority when people are accused of these things. Like it's not often to where it's always when they're completely innocent. Yeah. I want to add that preface once more.
Bro, I'm innocent or not, I'm good.
I think it's really situational. Yeah. Depends what it is. Murder, you know, rape, depends what it is.
That's interesting that both of you answered that way.
Why you say that?
I mean, it's not surprising in the sense of, I mean, what you said about how connected you are to the people around you, like you'll go X amount of time without talking and things like that, and just knowing both of you guys. But I feel like with something of this severity, and it could be in this instance a fictitious claim, like if you were to say like if you were to hear that, I don't know who's your best friend you spoke about before, but if it came out that your best friend had killed somebody and you're pretty certain that they didn't, like it just doesn't feel right because like you said, you don't associate yourself with those kind of people, and then so your reaction would be not to say anything to that person.
Nah, because murder's a whole different thing though. Like that's a whole different thing to digest. So murdering somebody in the sense of like if it could be self-defense or something like that, like I'm gonna be 110% curious about it, because for me, if it's premeditated, it does kind of, you know, I do care about it. I would care about it in that sense, but it's like, it's a whole different level. Like we live in a nation that glorifies guns, so it's more or less like it's part of, like it could be your everyday coffee. Like you wake up reading something watching some YouTube video about people shooting guns. Like you wake up, it's on the news. Like for me, I think murder is desensitized the right word I want to use. We're so desensitized to murder to where like murder produces a different response to us than rape. Like, rape isn't normal in any way, shape, or form. Like, even when you do the portrayals on TV, like when you're doing your crime scene, like those are still uncomfortable episodes to watch. So you distance yourself from rape, kind of like how we had that conversation with Jerome, and how like the hood would likes to ostracize the gay cousin. Like, that's how I am with rape. Like the way the hood may have looked at the gay cousin when we were growing up, that's how I'm looking at people who commit rape. Now, I say that to say this is that when it comes to murder, like there's so many different factors into it. Like you want to check, but when it comes to rape, man, it's just like that's a whole different ball game, because I mean,
I see
So
what
it's
you're
I
saying.
understand.
Yeah,
So
I understand. It's like you can't, like the way that somebody can get killed and it could still be tried as murder in self-defense. There is really no defense for rape.
Yeah.
There's none.
Yeah, unless she's lying on you, lying on one of your friends or something, and she's like, oh no, she's lying on me or something like that. Like, what if in that situation? Like, what if one of your friends is accused of rape, and she's like, no, she's lying on me. Like, what do you do in that situation?
If I was facing the situation that I just asked you guys about,
Yeah, or what I just said. Like, if you had a friend accused of rape, but his defense is, because you said there's no coming back from rape. What if his defense is, no, she set me up, or it wasn't rape, she's trying to get my money or some shit like that?
like you said, if this happens, you need to turn yourself in, get yourself a good lawyer, and we'll find out. we can't be out in public chilling. It's like, now you get you a lawyer, get this sorted out. I'll wait till the evidence is in, but
Let's go to Chipotle first. Let's go to Chipotle first.
No. If you're innocent, then the facts will prove it. If not, then, well, it's nice knowing you. Have fun in prison.
Okay.
Simple as that. I had an additional question. So this is something that you guys may not have heard about, but on the topic, back to Sarah Everard. I think it never sounds right when I'm pronouncing it. But so there was a statement made by Baroness Jones, who was a member of the Green Party in the UK, who had the following to say during a debate this past week on a domestic abuse bill in the House of Lords. So it's kind of like part of their equivalent of Congress. And so she said, in the week that Sarah Everard was abducted and we suppose killed because remains have been found in Woodland and Kent, I would argue that the next opportunity for any bill that's appropriate, I might actually put in an amendment to create a curfew for men on the streets after 6 p.m., which I feel would make women a lot safer, and discrimination of all kinds would be lessened.
No.
What are your thoughts on that?
No.
You just said no.
You said a curfew?
No.
She said, I'll read it again. She said, I would argue that the next opportunity for any bill that's appropriate, I might actually put in an amendment to create a curfew for men on the streets after 6 p.m., which I feel would make women a lot safer, and discrimination of all kinds would be lessened. A politician got in front of their legislative body and said that.
No. First of all, you really expect all men to be going not outside at past 6 p.m. That's one. And then two, women kill women too. That's not like, so if women still continue to die, what are you gonna do? Everybody gonna be on the curfew? Like, how's it gonna work? So yeah, no. Come on now. That's not getting to the root of the problem. That's just trying to stop shit by blocking one gender from doing something.
I feel like it creates more problems than it solves.
You think there's gonna be more assaults in the house?
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know about the statistics of that. Although I do think since the pandemic, didn't domestic violence go up?
I know drinking, being fat. The scientific word for that.
Obese.
Obese. Yeah, all of that's gone up. Yeah, so domestic violence. I totally forgot the word.
My first problem with that is I feel like what she said was deeply irresponsible and pernicious. Like the fact that you can predicate that kind of behavior on an entire demographic of people, whether it be according to their gender, their sexual orientation, their race. Like it's a slippery slope when you start setting precedents like that. And I think that as a consequence of the polarizing times we are in, for example, I feel like there's a lot of ongoing tension between not only, like you said, like civilians, police officers, blacks, whites. I feel like the same tension is with men and women too. And instead of addressing the issue of society versus a problem, we look at men versus women. And I feel like that doesn't do anybody any justice. That doesn't solve anything. And on top of that, like the people who are committing these crimes, okay, men are sexually assaulting women, men are raping women for the most part. I'm not saying that women don't rape women, because I mean it's such a small margin. I don't even think it's really worth mentioning, but just due to technicality, I'll go ahead and throw that in there. But that's the group of men who are doing it. They're such a small subset, and it's just like anything. With most crimes are committed by a very small minority of people, and so I think it's just foolish logic. But so what I have to say about the actual claim about the 6 p.m. curfew. So let's assume that that does go into place. That does go into practice. And I feel like that's fundamentally flawed for 3 reasons. It assumes that the people who victimize women, which is already illegal, care about this law. So if you think that they have no
damn, I gotta go to the house.
they have no problem with killing and raping, but you think that they're going to care about a curfew.
15 more minutes. I wish I had 15 more minutes.
Yeah, I swear, it's just that's the biggest hole in it. And then it takes men that would help in scenarios like that off of the streets, people who could additionally intervene on the behalf of a woman. And then the third one is like, given a lot of people's current understanding of gender and sexuality, couldn't a man just identify as a woman?
You said this is in the UK? How is it in the UK? Is it the same thing?
I feel like the UK is more liberal than the US.
It's possible. Like, oh, sir, you have to be in the house. No, actually, I'm a woman.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's so many holes in this line of
thinking. Okay, never mind. You got this.
That curfew thing, it would do, like, I don't see any seriousness in entertaining it in a serious political realm. But the fact that it was posited in a legislative chamber is very concerning to me. But just off of thinking about how that would play out, I feel like it creates more problems than it solves.
And it's a surprise, though.
The first one was the biggest one. You said, you don't think what's a surprise?
Her bringing that bill into fruition, basically.
Why? Like, well, it's not a bill. It's just she said that she wants to make an amendment in the future.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's just because it's just reaction, like just reacting to the actual news instead of just being proactive. I feel so.
And actually thinking about solutions that would go into place. So, like with that incident, I feel like something that was more rational and more measured would be like something like Desmond was saying. The people who are in this specific incident, because it's not I guess this is an isolated crime, and so making sure that people who are in those law enforcement capacities have been evaluated, because like you were saying, there's no person who is sane that should be serving law enforcement capacity could actually carry out those crimes. So I guess if she was to say something like they need to crack down and do more in-depth psychiatric evaluations, or more frequent reviews, or just anything that was actionable that made sense. She could have said anything that would have made more sense than that.
Can a crazy person like pass that psychiatric evaluation though?
Can a crazy person pass that psychiatric evaluation?
Yeah, a smart crazy person. Can't they?
I mean, I'm sure they could, but it makes it harder. It makes it more difficult.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they can though, because a lot of this stuff today that like they tell you to study and test, or the things you have to study to take these type of tests for, they're available online. So if a person already knows what they're going in, if not the exact questions, they know the realm of where these questions are coming from, I'm pretty sure they can pass it. You know?
I asked that because he was like, no police officer should be doing something like this, but police officers are just people like us, like just the same biases, same,
you know. So but there's an additional sense of duty on a police officer, and I think we've discussed it in depth when it came to how it related to Black Lives Matter and police brutality. Like there's an additional standard of how one should conduct oneself, and it's just certain individuals who have no business donning a badge and a uniform.
Maybe the other side would say they are. It's definitely.
So for my first question,
it's definitely
who's the other side?
The people with the cops.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was thinking
Alright.
I was thinking the other side would say something around the lines of they have to be more aggressive because criminals aren't just going to be nice to you or something like that. Like they have to be more aggressive to get the criminal. You know what I mean? Like they have to be like that because life is hard. Like people aren't nice in world, so they have to be like that. They feel.
Bro, I feel like that is like the most ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I actually want to hear what you have to say first. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like the whole rhetoric that criminals aren't gonna be nice to you is so outdated. Like some of these criminals are they're probably some of these criminals are the most articulate, compassionate, empathetic. Like I don't understand that thinking.
I think it's a bad idea to operate off of that premise because most people aren't criminals. And so if you start treating everybody like criminals as an officer, and like you said, with that in mind, like you said, being tough with them, so body slamming everybody who you stop on the sidewalk.
Or everybody you think is a criminal anyway.
Yeah. Better not catch grandma coming out that car.
Hey, you, come here.
Is that your vehicle?
Whoa.
Breaking hips and everything.
But some people, like, I feel like a lot of some people, like a lot of people become cops to catch bad guys instead of protect and serve. You know what I mean? Like some people think of being cops as, oh, I'm getting the bad guy instead of I'm protecting and serving the people. You know what I mean? Or they're the protecting and serving the people might just be their people. You know? So.
Right.
The cops don't even know who the bad guy is.
Fit the description. Black.
I mean,
Yeah, that's it. No, I'm saying it off of like if they're joining off of this premise of catching the bad guy, 10 times out of 10 they don't even know who the bad guy is.
And the bad guy who you think it is isn't.
Well, they kind of rely on the criminal to reveal themselves due to low tactics and stuff. So that's why you got the Central Park 5 and everything. So even though they didn't actually do a damn thing. So, but yeah. Anything else?
I guess to get back to the core topic, what other concerns might you have about women's safety? If there are any that we had not discussed throughout the duration of this episode. Josh, you're muted.
I know, I was talking to myself. I'm thinking, to be honest.
I think this would have been a great episode to have Marco Perry on.
I thought this would have been another great episode to have a woman on.
I didn't want to have a woman on here for one specific reason, because I wanted to hear what we as men had to come up with that we could do to protect women. I had to correct myself because I said our first. I think this would be great to have a follow-up with women to have part of that discussion. But I wanted to see what we came up with out first. Because
but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. The reason why I said we should have had a woman, though, is because women know what sexual harassment and sexual assault and all that look like, whether they experience it firsthand or they've had close encounters with it. So it's like we're coming in and we're theorizing how we can protect women when sometimes we don't even know what we're protecting them from.
You don't know what sexual assault looks like?
I mean, yeah, we know what a sexual assault looks like, but to catch it in like a moment, like in all the different varieties and ways that we might not even know of, like I'm pretty sure what women will come to the table and bring to you, because like sometimes sexual assault just isn't what we see it, or sexual harassment isn't what we see like in person. Like a lot of the you could say sexual assault, sexual harassment, whatever, starts in like DMs and stuff. And like there's a whole nother, if you want to say course, chapter, conversation that consists of stuff we don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that,
Catcalls.
Well, I mean, catcall, that's old. Like that's old in the sense of, what I'm talking about now. But like, there's a lot of stuff that we don't see that may be occurring in public, but we aren't acknowledging it because we're not making the correlations between what we can see and what we can't see, and vice versa.
And that's valid, but like I said, I still wanted to hear what we came up with without before we had any additional follow-ups. But I think that's definitely a great point.
Yeah.
Because it was like you kind of when you were talking about like recognizing sexual assault and our level of competency doing so, that kind of like maybe give you the side eye for a second, because for example, I've had unwanted sexual attention by a woman before, like back when I was at ODU, for example,
Sure.
like just outside in the parking lot getting grabbed. So
Sure.
I mean, to be able to identify that as assault, and then of course it affects people differently. Like for me, when that happened, I mean, it didn't bother me. I mean, there's different levels. Something that happens to one individual and they not care, it could traumatize somebody else. So it's on a very individualistic basis. But just to identify and say something did happen, I feel like I have that ability. So I'm glad you did clarify that and explain that there could be something potentially not seen on the other side. And I do think that there would be some merit in having a follow-up discussion to add on to this.
For sure.
I feel like that goes into double standards, but yeah.
What do you mean?
Because you was bitching in the girl grabbing you, and how she didn't see it as sexual assault, but yeah.
Well, I did. No, I'm saying I did. I don't know whether she saw it as sexual assault or not.
Okay.
I didn't like raise the issue because it didn't bother me.
Oh, okay.
Like that was on me. Like if it was something that bothered me, then I should have raised the attention to it. But it's just something that I didn't take seriously, because like I said, it didn't affect me.
Okay. Gotcha. Anything else you guys want to add? Any more questions, Brian?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. Dev?
Nope. Nah, man, I've been studying a lot. You can't tell by my hair. I've been just doing a lot of chart work, studying, trying to get better. So I haven't been listening to a lot of music. Lucas has been listening to the majority of the music though, because my it's the new Drake little 3-piece that he released, but it's the first song, and I think it's What's Next, and that's been what he's been playing for literally nonstop for the past week. So we can make that little EP. I forgot what it is, but I think the song is What's Next. Of course, if we need to clarify that or clarify if I'm saying it incorrectly, then of course I'll be in the description. But I think it's What's Next.
Okay. Cool. All right, if you guys like the discussion, don't forget to hit the like button. We're going to see you guys next time.
But while you're here, be sure to check out other great content from the Breakdown crew, including previous episodes of the podcast, Joshua versus Movies, Joshua versus Music, and of course, haven't forgotten about my plant lovers, Feel the Love. Just check out this begonia.